So with Riven coming to Pantheon next week, I've had a lot of people asking me about legit Riven. Are we going to have to do legit Riven? We don't know. I'm planning definitely on doing it that way and not doing any sorts of cheeses. I'm assuming we're not going to be able to, especially for Platinum. And I've had a lot of people asking to basically make a refresher guide or maybe just a first time guide on running legit Riven. We did do some helps on my stream a couple weeks ago. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of a different video and I'm going to go through basically the entirety of the encounter, taking some pauses and basically just showing you every single step of this encounter and going into as much detail as I can. So to start, you're going to need to get on the 6 plates around the room just like normal. Now, when you're doing the cheese, usually you send everybody to the blue room. For the real version of this encounter, you need to have 3 people in the blue room, 3 people towards the yellow room. Usually you're just going to send the people that are closest to those rooms to the closest room rather than having people run across it. You don't necessarily have to do it that way, but that is just the easiest way to do it. When you first get into either room, both rooms are going to be pretty similar. You're going to want to focus on the snipers on the 2 sides. There's going to be 2 snipers that come out on this left side over here where I'm currently going to. There'll also be 2 snipers on the far right side, and you're going to want to just try to slay out ads. The first main mechanic that's going to happen is either A, you're going to get Riven on your side, or B, you're not. If you don't get Riven, if the other team gets Riven first, you'll notice that you'll get a second set of snipers, so again, you'll want to take those down. And the second thing you're going to see is you're going to have the Eye of Riven, which is really important. You want to take that down, and it's going to drop the little orb that you need in order to cleanse one of the symbols. We're going to ignore that for now, though, because Riven is going to be coming across to our side soon. The other team is basically dealing with Riven, which we'll go into in a second here, but they're going to be staggering Riven and telling us what eyes we need to shoot. So you're always going to get Riven on one of the 2 sides. If you don't get Riven on the first floor, you'll get her on the second floor, but the mechanics are the same. One of the mechanics is basically when she has her claws out, you need to go underneath the claw to make her try to stab you, and then you need to shoot that claw to make her stagger and have the eyes appear as you can see in this clip. It is really important to make sure to jump as the claw is smacking the ground, because otherwise you're going to get launched into the sky and basically insta-die. Because of the way they changed the physics mechanics, you probably won't instant die anymore. You'll just be left at 1 HP. But if anything hits you at that point, you're going to die. So you want to make sure you jump up in the air as the claw is hitting the ground, and then make sure you damage that claw when it's on the ground with something that is probably your heavy or something hard hitting so that it gets staggered. Now the other possible mechanic that Riven is going to have across all of her phases is the Dragon Breath attack. This one is basically she's going to shoot out Dragon Fire at you, and as soon as the fire ends you'll see the mouth glowing orange, and then that is when you want to shoot the mouth to again make her stagger and have 2 eyes glow. So there's 2 mechanics, either the claws out in front where you have to basically bait them and shoot her, or shoot the claw, or B, your Fire Breath where you have to shoot the mouth when it glows in between each set of fire. Now, as I was mentioning before, you're going to have either Riven with you or on the other side to start. If Riven's on the other side, once that team gets the stagger with whichever one of the 2 mechanics we just mentioned happens, she's going to come over to your side, and there's going to be a couple things you want to do. The first thing you want to do when Riven comes over is do DPS. You're going to have like kind of small damage windows throughout this encounter. So when Riven pops through, this is exactly when you want to start doing damage. Her mouth will be open. That's going to be a big crit spot. It's kind of like Oryx, you know, the big heart. Very good for Whisper in terms of getting easy crits and getting a lot of damage in. And as soon as the mouth closes, that is the time where I usually tell people to shoot the 2 eyes. You need to shoot both of the eyes that were called by the other team kind of simultaneously. Once one has been shot, you have probably a 2 to 3 second window to shoot the other one. So again, we'll go back in this clip here again so you can kind of see right when the mouth closes, I will find one of the eyes that was called out. I will be aiming at it, make sure that the other person's ready. We both shoot each of the 2 eyes. You can technically have the same person shoot both eyes, but it's nice, if 2 different people shoot one eye, it makes it a little bit easier. Everybody gets to be included, etc. So you have either option there, but that is what you really want to do. You want to get the damage in first. It's really important to get the damage in first. And again, with Pantheon, we don't know what the changes are going to be, but I'm assuming you're still going to want to get damage in for sure, especially with some of the timers that we're probably going to need to beat. Now, after you've dealt with Riven on your side, whether you're the team sending her over or doing the DPS, that's when you're going to want to go ahead and grab the ball that the captain dropped and basically cleanse one of the symbols. If you're the person grabbing the ball, you can use this to kill ads, and you definitely should, and you're going to notice 5 symbols that are all the same right in front of you. You need to call that out to the other person who's going to guide you towards these symbols. What you can see here is you can see a vague outline of like a circle where a symbol is going to be, right? So we're going to kind of show this again. I like to start at the top here because it makes it easier for the person reading to me, like which way I'm going to need to go, and I'll show you from their perspective in a second. But you can see these little like spinning circles on the ground. Again, we'll go back here one more time, where you can really see that there is a symbol there. That's basically what it's telling you. You don't know what symbol's there, but you know there's a symbol there, so you can kind of know that you're in the right spot. So as I kind of go over this way, you kind of shift slowly, shift slowly. Now I'm on a new symbol, right? So the other person is guiding me to this spot. I confirm that it's the right symbol, which again for this example right now is just plain bird, or bird looking over its shoulder, whatever you want to call it. Making sure you're in the right spot, and then you cleanse with the grenade button, and if you did it right, it will activate the elevator, either in the back of the room if it's on the first floor, or in the middle of the room here on the second floor. Now from the other perspective, this time we're going to be on the pillar itself looking through the mirror so that we can see all the symbols. You have to be up here to be able to see these symbols. Also, if you jump off of here, even if you just jump in the air and land, if you jump off and get back on, these symbols are all going to shift. So be very careful to not get off of here until the person that you're guiding cleanses the symbol. Otherwise, you're probably going to get them killed. So as you can see, now we can see all of the different symbols around the room, but we can't see what the symbol is on the other side of this pillar. So that's why that person has to call out what symbol they see so we know which symbol to guide them to. So for me, you can go in one of two ways. You can either guide them off of your perspective or their perspective. It kind of works either way, whichever one works for you guys easier. I don't usually try to have like specific callouts for each of these spots. There are like technically official callouts on different maps and stuff that people have made where it's like, left pit, right pit. Like usually the area in the center we like to call the pit, or the small circle in front. But using just easy callouts like this left staircase, right staircase. Most of the symbols are either on the staircase or next to the staircase or the three in the middle pit. Now there is one caveat to this, which I'll try to get a clip of here in a second. 3 of the 4 sides, so the one team on both the first and second floor are going to have their symbols like this. I'm actually going to pause this just to kind of have it being on the screen. But 3 of the 4 rooms that you're going to be cleansing in have these symbols that look exactly like this rotation, where you have like 4 symbols over here, you've got 2 symbols in the middle, you got 3 symbols down here in the pit, and then you've got 3 symbols on this side. There's the second floor on the right side team, or the yellow door, I believe it is, actually has these symbols much differently. So I'm hoping I have a clip of this that I can show you here in a second, just to kind of denote that there is a big difference there. Again, it doesn't matter too much because we're not playing this off of memorization for where the symbols are. You're playing it off of, again, if you're the person holding the cleanse, you can see the outlines that you're on a symbol. And again, I recommend starting in the middle, because then you're already on one of those middle symbols. If you're on the right one, which happens, 1 out of every 10, how many symbols are there? 6, 7, 8, 9. Like 1 out of every 12 times, you'll just be standing on the right symbol. Another 1 out of every 12 times, you'll be right next to the right symbol. So 2 out of 12 times, you'll be either on it or right next to it. Makes the callouts really easy. And then the 2 that are on top there, 1 to your right, 1 to your left, easy callouts there. Or, inner staircase, outer staircase, bottom staircase on either side. Again, easy callouts that are, you don't need any sort of memorization. You just kind of go off of big, obvious areas, the staircases, the pit in the middle, left and right. That's all you got to kind of know and be able to call out, and you're good to go. Now, obviously, you need to be able to call out the symbols themselves: fish, dragon, bird, etc. But, they're all animals. Snake, pretty self-explanatory which animals are which. Just describe them the best you can. 2 fish in a circle, dragon through it with a spear in its neck on the right, fish vertical, an N fish or upside down U fish, or single fish that's kissing itself. There's a lot, whatever you want to call these. I feel like most of them, if you do your best to describe them, you're going to be good, and both people can kind of understand. There's only 4 different symbols per animal. So like even if you just have the animal right, you're already most of the way there. So go from there, and I think you'll be good. So as promised, here is the symbols and how they look on the second floor of the right side room. Basically all the symbols in the middle shift off to the staircases. This one's definitely a little bit harder because some of the symbols are really right on top of each other. So it is really important. What I'd recommend is having your person that is holding the orb that is going to cleanse, really get them to confirm that they're in the right spot and on the right circle. And again, you can use what we showed a little bit ago, where you can see the outline when you're on a spot, so you can really confirm that you're on a spot, and then make sure you're on the right one with some of these. Again, some of those on the right staircase, the 2 dragons and the fish on the right over there, at least our right, are very close together. The snake and the dragon and the other bird, the 4 on top of the left staircase, again, pretty close together. So you really got to confirm that you're on the right spot with some of these, but you have time. Do note that when you are holding the orb, you only have till it stacks up to 10, and it will kill you if you don't use it by then. And if you do cleanse the wrong symbol, that also kills you. So just keep that in mind as well. One quick note I realized while editing this is that you can use your super to get rid of this orb, if you are not able to use it to cleanse quickly enough, you will have to rotate who ends up doing the next orb, because you will be put on cooldown just as if you used it normally. There is a cooldown till you can use it again, but you can use super in case you're going to die and need to get rid of it. So we're just going to go over a super quick skip through overview of everything we've learned so far, right? So you're going to come into your room, you're going to kill the snipers. If you had Riven first, you're going to make sure you stagger her based on either the claws or the dragon's breath, and then you need to make sure you call out the eyes, which we need to get an eyes picture on the screen so we can let you guys know what the callouts are for that. There are different callouts. Not everybody uses the same callouts for the eyes, but I will put a picture on screen either here or probably in multiple places so that you guys know what the callouts that we use are. Again, you can use whichever ones you want. I think these make the most sense. But once you have staggered Riven, make sure you call out those eyes. The other team is going to shoot her. Or vice versa, if the other team staggered Riven, she's going to come over to you. You're going to have to shoot those eyes. Again, don't forget, very importantly, do damage before you do the eyes. Then, once the mouth closes, shoot the 2 eyes. Then, once you've dealt with Riven on your side, kill the captain, or if you've already killed the captain, have somebody pick up the orb, and you're going to cleanse the correct symbol. We've already talked about how to do that. Once you've done that, again, your elevator is going to activate. If you're on the first floor, we'll skip ahead here. The first elevator is going to be in the back of the room, so you just turn around behind where you're doing that cleanse. Boom, scoop up to the elevator, you're onto the second floor. Second floor is exactly the same. Again, you're just swapping roles. If you had Riven first, you're going to have Riven second, or vice versa. Remember at the end of the second floor that your elevator is going to be in the middle of the room to allow you to go up into the third floor and the final floor of the encounter, which we are now going to talk about next. So the first thing you're going to want to do as you're going up into this third and final room, which is technically the room you start in before the encounter, is get to the center of the room and start working on all the adds and the ogres. This is a room where I really feel like during Pantheon they're probably going to add some more spooky enemies, maybe some tormentors. Who knows? Maybe they'll add tormentors in the bottom rooms too. Who knows? But basically kill everything you can as quick as you can, because Riven is going to be coming through quickly. Once Riven comes through, you're going to be doing the same exact mechanics that we already talked about. Either A, you're going to have to debate the claw, as we're doing here, or B, do the dragon's breath and, again, stagger her either way. Once you stagger her, you're going to get 2 eyes to glow. Again, same exact thing we did on the first floor and the second floor. Now, the caveat to that is this time we're doing it 3 times. On this final floor, we're doing it 3 times. So she's going to rotate over to the right. There's going to be another ogre and a goblin to kill. Again, I'm expecting maybe different or more scary enemies here, but she'll either have her claws or the dragon's breath. Dragon breath here, we stagger it, we get 2 different eyes. Here we do need to keep track, so I'm using the chat to keep track of all the eyes. I usually like to assign 1 eye to every person. You're going to have 6 total eyes here, and you have 6 people. So if everybody can keep track of 1 eye, that's a lot easier than, you know, a couple people keeping track of 2 or 3. You can do it. Again, I'd say 3 is probably the most you'd want to do. Trying to do more than 3, it's going to be too hard to shoot them fast enough. The kind of middle ground is like 3 people each shoot 2 eyes. That's also possible. But again, you want to stagger her all 3 of these rounds, get all 6 eyes. So once you've staggered her all 3 times and get all 6 eyes, this is when we're going to get our last damage phase. Here we like to use the pillar in the middle to protect from the ogre on the left and be able to kill the ogre on the right. But again, these enemies may or probably even will change in Pantheon. You can use a well here again to protect you if there are any new or spooky enemies that we're going to have to kind of tank during damage phase. But as before, we'll watch it again. As before, as soon as Riven comes through, her mouth is going to be open, and this is when we're going to want to be doing damage. So mouth is open, we do DPS first. Do not shoot the eyes right away. That happens sometimes, and that's going to make things very, very not great. So as soon as the mouth closes, that's when everybody's going to need to shoot their eye. Again, you can have each person shoot 1. You can have 3 people shoot 2. You can have 2 people shoot 3. Just need to shoot all 6 of them pretty simultaneously. So again, that's why it's really important that you do it when the mouth closes, so that there's a very obvious timer of when everybody needs to shoot the eye. Again, if one person shoots really, really early, and then everybody's got to scramble to shoot the other 5 really, really quick, that's probably going to be a wipe, because you only have like a 2-second window to shoot all of them. And the mouth closing makes it a really just like clear time. Everybody sees it at the same time. Boom, shoot the eyes. Awesome. Also, though, don't wait too long to shoot the eyes, because there is, like, once the mouth closes, if you don't shoot the eyes fast enough, then like at all, you just will wipe within a couple seconds as well. So you got to be like pretty, as soon as that mouth closes, go for it. Again, if anybody shoots the wrong eye, it's a wipe. If you don't shoot all the eyes, it's a wipe. Now again, at the end of this, I feel like there's going to be some changes in Pantheon, but the way it works now is you need to kill all the enemies in the room, but as soon as all the enemies in the room are dead, the entire room will become inflicted, I guess, with creeping darkness, what you know, the mechanic from Queen's Walk. And this you need to stand on these plates to protect you from the creeping darkness. You're gonna see me get off the plate for a second. I start stacking the creeping darkness. If I'm on any plate, I'm able to cleanse from the creeping darkness and stay cleansed. And what you can do, and what I always recommend people do, is just go to any plate and honestly, actually purposefully go on the same plate as somebody else rather than splitting up everybody right away. The reason for this, and we'll go back and pause it for a second, right, is if everybody goes to a different plate, you're immediately going to start the next phase, and people might not be ready for that. As long as you're on the same plate as other people, you can all be using the same plate and be cleansed from the creeping darkness and not be risk of death. But also take a second, make sure everything's reloaded, make sure everybody's ready for this next part, etc. That's really, really important. And also, if you want to make sure teams are on the same sides as before, a lot of times things get a little hectic right after the damage phase, and people might go to the wrong side for where they started, and you may not want to have that set up that way if you want to keep people in kind of the same teams in the same areas. So you can make sure you get on the same plate as somebody else. It won't start the area, and then you can make sure people are still on the same side. If they're not, they can shift to the other side, and then once everybody is ready, that's when you spread out on one on each plate so that you can head down for the next section. So once everybody is on their different plates, you will start heading down, just like the very beginning of this encounter, but this time you're going to have a bunch of green glowy spots on Riven to shoot. This is actually technically like the main damage phase of Riven. Again, like pre-Pantheon, the damage was we're just so power crept at this point that even doing it this way, you can almost honestly, we probably could have one phased or killed Riven before having to do that final set of eyes, but I specifically didn't want to, so because we were trying to teach people ahead of time to at least show this mechanic so people can kind of see what it looked like. But yeah, you'll probably be going further than this in Pantheon. You'll be dropping down constantly. You'll have more of the green spots to shoot, but you do big chunks of damage every time you do that. Once you hit the ground, again, we don't hit the ground here, but once you hit the ground, you'll go back to your rooms and you can repeat the entirety of the process until you hit final stand. Again, most people that have done Riven know the final stand. You just follow the path. You got to get the taken strength at the end, and then you come back into the Riven room, you shoot her one more time, and then you run in and shoot the heart, right? That's all the same whether you're doing it this way or the cheese strat, right? Again, there may be changes here. There may be changes at the end for Pantheon. So we don't know that stuff too. I actually wouldn't be shocked if this area again had if this area had a tormentor, although it'd probably fall off the map, but it'd be funny getting suppressed and all sorts of craziness. And in here would be, maybe funny is the wrong word, maybe scary is a better word. But again, I could definitely see some changes with just difficulty of enemies and scariness of enemies. Don't forget, only one person also needs to make it to that strength, then everybody gets teleported out. So you can use that to your advantage. Again, that might be useful in Pantheon runs if people aren't as comfortable jumping, or if there's maybe some ads you got to kill, you have one person go past, the rest of people can kind of worry about or tank the ads or have the ads focus on them while the other person's running. Just got to get one person out. Again, unless they change that, maybe they changed that too. But again, for current Riven, that's what you got to do. You shoot her in the mouth one more time, you run through, and then you shoot her in the heart to finish the encounter. So I hope this video was helpful. I definitely know this was a bit of a different video and kind of differently designed, but I think this was the best way to kind of go about it and show it. We will be doing helps on the final Pantheon next week for people that would like to get a chance to try to do some of these encounters and get the title and get the last emblem and all the loot involved. So you can check us out on stream there. And as always, thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day.